Hello, it's Will, back at it again with another video, right here, talking about it on the channel. Will Thunder Talks, everyone. Hi, great to see you. I don't know if you have been here before, but I'm Will. I'm from the UK, and I talk about topics that I think are interesting. I like to reflect, think about kind of how to be better as a person, journaling, meditation, feelings, a lot of that kind of stuff. Just whatever topic grabs my mind. So it's been lovely to have you here so far. Come on in. Got another question to reflect on today. I think the question for today is, how should we navigate judgment from others? Cool. So I like this question because I think about this question a lot when I think about like what I'm like doing with my life, right? I think about like social media a lot, what we're doing, where we're going, why we're trying to do what we're doing, right? And like the things that can like challenge that. So I think it's natural for a lot of people, and I was certainly in this boat, and I still am in some ways, like to be really affected by the judgment of others. And it really affects how we feel about ourselves, what we kind of are willing to risk and not risk, and part of the risk calculation in my head is like how others will take it, right? So how should we navigate the judgment of others? I think this idea of external and internal motivation comes up for me a lot when I think about this, because I think something that can really affect, augment how we move forward is like if we're externally or internally motivated, right? And I guess I want to define this a little bit here as I talk about it. And I guess, when I think about the judgment of others, that's kind of part of the external motivation, right? So the motivation we get from others, of like, hey, you're good at this, you're bad at that, you should do this time, deadlines, things that are external that people can hold us accountable to, that's external motivation, right? This isn't inherently like a bad thing, but it's certainly something to be aware of when I think about like how I'm going to move forward, what I'm doing with my life, and why I'm doing it. Because like the judgment calculator is there in a way, whether we like it or not, consciously or subconsciously. We're all concerned with a degree of judgment from others, because like judgment from others can lead to shame. It can lead to us thinking we have to be a certain way. The word shoulds come from this place, right? Of like the should is born from our assumption of the judgments of others. I feel, I should go to the gym. I should babysit my nibblings. I should clean the house, right? Not all bad. Like those are some of those good things to do. Some of those things I should do, right? Like I think culturally we would all say it's like good to help each other. It's good to contribute to the household you live in. All that good stuff, right? And if we don't do that, we're going to potentially be judged by others, right? So how should we navigate judgments from others? I think it really depends on like that internal motivation aspect and like how aligned all that stuff is, and like knowing kind of like why you want to do what you want to do. And like, and I think people don't talk about this aspect a lot, but it's kind of like picking a path, which I think is really hard anyway. But if you manage to pick a path, going, hey, I'm walking this way, and I'm going to like bring my mind to this idea, this place, and why I value it. So for me, making these videos, I value it regardless of how I feel. I felt sick a couple times doing these videos. I got a runny nose today, but I value it because I think it contributes to me developing skills. I think it contributes to me doing a bit of video editing. I think it contributes to me emptying my head of thoughts. So here I am, giving it a go because it's in my head. I've talked about journaling on this channel before. Probably can't see that because of how bright it is in here, but I journal a lot. And I think being intentional with how you come back to the things you value, the things you want to better prioritize in your life, will naturally develop motivation towards them, and not in the way of like, oh man, I have to go to the gym now, I have to journal now, I have to meditate now. What am I gonna get by being in those states? What am I gonna get? Or like just curious about aspects of that, right? So being curious about the breath, being curious about which is what's happening on my body right now. I'm doing a body scan, right? And like thinking about what I'm talking about. Thinking about how my hair looks on camera, right? I always play with my hair in these videos if you've seen them before. And using all of that to like inform, you know, maybe the judgments that are in my head, but also the motivation of like why I'm here and why I'm doing it, okay? And a lot in life is going to want to pull you away from what you want, okay? A lot is going to want to dilute your focus. People are going to be like, well, you should do this, or this is important, or that's important, right? The hard part is to know how to navigate these judgments, which is why like I'm here talking about it today. And I think it comes to values. Like, what do you value? What do you like want out of your time when you're lying in your bed, when you're however old you'll be, when you're passing away? Like, are you gonna feel like you lived life that aligned with what you care about? Sit with that for a bit. Think about that. Because I think about that a lot. I think about that when I'm like, well, I'm of an age where like I think it's societally kind of suggested that I should have kids. A lot of people have said to me as well, Will, you'd be a good dad. You're kind, you're patient, you're good with kids. You're kind of, people have said I'm emotionally intelligent. And I don't want kids. Right? So I have to like navigate those judgments, because if I couldn't navigate those judgments, then I would just fall into what is expected of me. And that would ultimately neglect what I value, you know, and I value community, I value acceptance, but I value authenticity more. And I value creatively exploring, I value being in the creative process and feeling my emotions and having space to do that. So I feel, from what I've seen of raising kids, that you don't get a lot of time to yourself. You have to give to your kids, and you should if you choose to be a parent. You also deserve time to yourself. That's understandable, but you're also, they have needs and you kind of opted into this. You chose to make a child, and there's responsibilities that come with that. And I don't think you should forsake those responsibilities. I think those are really important. But also, you know, you've got your own needs. There needs to be a negotiation of that. And as the child grows and there's different phases of the child's life, they're going to be less reliant on you as a parent, so then you can have more of you back. But like, that is an insane level of giving. You have to give for years and years and years. I'd say it once, I'd say it many times. Being a parent is one of the hardest jobs you can do. And I don't take that lightly. And when I tell people this, I feel the judgment. You know? I feel the judgment of like, oh, well, but you would be a good dad. So like, don't like not do that. And then I come back to my values. I come back to what internally motivates me. Exploring, growing, being creative, pushing the extremes of my understanding right now. Having rich, deep, meaningful experiences that connect me with people I care about, with my wife, with my friends. Like, that's what matters to me, right? I'm really into traveling at the moment. I went to Prague and I went by myself, first trip by myself. And I guess part of me felt like it's not the done thing. Well, it is for some people, but in my experience, not so much. To go on holiday by yourself, right? So I was kind of feeling like there might be some judgments then. For a while, I was really like hesitant on the fence about it. But I talked to my buddy and I thought, you know, this is like aligning with my values. This is about exploration. This is about learning more about a different country, a different way of looking at the world, a different cultural and historical experience. And I find it really interesting. I try and build my actions on the foundation of that curiosity. So I bit the bullet back in April and booked it and went this past weekend. I went to Prague, Czechia, Czechoslovakia, the Czech Republic, whatever you want to call it. And you know what? It was awesome. I had a great time. I learned a bunch about the country's history. They had some fantastic museums. They had a really cool train restaurant. They had a big metronome. I wanted to see the big metronome. I was here for the big metronome. It was great. I walked more than a half marathon in a day because I was so excited, fueled by curiosity. I was in my element. I was in my zone. I was living exactly the kind of life I wanted to lead, right? Not spending a ton of money, but just having a bed to lay my head. You know, I went to a hostel and I was in there, and I was in the hostel, and I was probably the oldest person there, but I was there because I was curious, and I was getting to indulge my curiosity. I was being somewhere new. I couldn't read most of the signs because they were in the local language, and that was really exciting to me, exploring a new metro system, exploring different aspects of this culture, going to like a little local market, buying some of these weird dried mushrooms. So much of my experience, I was only there for 2 whole full days, really. It was awesome. And I just feel like if I had kids or I went down the should route or did what I should do, I would have never been able to experience that. Or maybe I would have in like 30 years when I'm like 60, right? Which is like cool, but like, I want to live now. And there are judgments that come with that. And I think accepting those judgments, standing by your values and going, you know what, I deserve this, I care about this, so I'm going to double down on this. And for some of you watching, it might be challenges with going and feeling your own worth. You know, feeling self-worth is really hard. Loving yourself is really hard. But you owe that to yourself, to love yourself. So in the infamous words of RuPaul, if you ain't going to love yourself, ain't no way anybody else is going to love you. Or something to that effect. Anyway, but I think those are all my thoughts for today. You've been wonderful. I've been Will. It's been a pleasure. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video.